Hello, I'm McCall. This is my final project for GPE303. Let's start off with the finite state machine or that my AI use. The state machine has three main states. As an idle state where it just sits there looking for the enemy. It has a patrolling state where it patrols waypoints while also checking to see if it hears or sees the enemy, and if it does, it starts attacking. And then from either of those, if they can see and hear the player, it'll start attacking them and change into the attacking state. The way my AI moves is using object avoidance and it does this by first getting the state they're in and such. Then if they're in the idle state, they just get the players transform, check if they can hear the player, checks if they can see the player. If they can't, well, they can't really do. It just does that every time. For patrol, it does the same, checks to see if they can hear the player, checks to see if they can see the player. If they can, it changes to attacking state. Otherwise, it gets the current waypoint based in the waypoints and make sure it's within range. It starts moving towards the waypoint using the move towards function. Then after that, if it gets close enough to the waypoint by getting within the waypoint cutoff distance, it'll then advance to the next waypoint, whether that's a random one in the list chosen or the next one in the list. And then if it's starting with the last, it can either loop by going from the end back to the beginning, or picking a random waypoint by reversing directions. Now for how it moves, if there's nothing in the way, it'll move forward by getting the target position, which is the waypoint transform, getting the directions of the waypoint, turning towards that waypoint, and then moving forward. Otherwise, if it can't move forward, it'll go to the turn to avoid state. When it's turned to avoid state, it turns away from wherever it's looking. Then it checks if it can move forward. If it can, it does the move to avoid, and then records how long it took. Then, when it's moved to avoid, it checks if it can move forward. If it can, it moves forward. And then, if it runs into something else, it goes back to the turn to avoid and redoes the process. Otherwise, if you have moved forward for a set amount of time, it goes back to the normal avoid state, which has you go look towards the target and move forward. When it checks to see if it can move forward, it basically just draws a line in wherever the AI is looking, and it raycasts that line to where if the raycast hits something, it returns false of no, I can't move forward. If the raycast doesn't hit anything, there's nothing there, I can move forward. And the way it moves is just using a simple character controller on the object, and it's built-in move functions to where normal move is moving forward, reverse move is just moving backwards at a negative thing, turn is just rotating your object, and then turn towards is getting a target direction and rotating towards that target direction. and and that's 2 of the 3 states. For the attacking state, it basically goes and moves towards the player this time, while going through and using the obstacle avoidance to avoid obstacles. It checks the distance. It gets the distance between whatever the player transformation is and the AI's current position. It starts the countdown for how many seconds till shoot, and then if the distance is between the AI and the player is less than the required shoot distance, and the time between shots is 0, it'll deal damage to the player, and then it'll reset the time to take shot, the shoot time. And the way it checks to see if it can see the player is by using vision and sight, and it does this by a vision script with a hearing modifier, field of view, view distance, which this is how well they can hear, this is what degrees can they actually see, and view distance is how far away they can see. And then there's the can hear rule, which it's can you hear them, yes or no, where it gets the target's pawn. It checks to whether they're actually making noise, because if it's equal to 0 or less than 0, they're not making any noise, so you can't hear them. Otherwise, yes, it can hear you. Then it gets the distance from whatever the target position is and the AI's position. Then it calculates the required distance by getting the pawn's volume and times it can get by the hearing modifier. So the higher those are, the better chance you have of seeing them. Then it checks if the distance between you two is greater than the mod distance. If it's less than or equal to, it can hear you, it returns true. So thus, in this case, if it returns true, it then gets the target player's position, and it starts turning towards your target position. Otherwise, it returns false of I can't hear them. Then can see is similar, but it gets the forward vector, whichever direction you're facing, the AI is facing, and it gets the vector to the target, which is in this case the player. And then it gets the angle to target, which is taking a vector 3 angle using the forward vector, and then the vector to target. And then if that angle to target is within the field of view that you stated earlier, which most cases it's going to be 45, unless you count peripherals, then it can be 90, 180, whatever you want. If the angle to target is less than that field of view, it can see the player, returns true. If it's greater than the field of view, it can't see player, returns false. It does something similar for the hit info, where it does a raycast of whatever your forward position is, whatever your view distance is, and whatever the vector to target is. And then if it doesn't hit anything, you can't find the player. If it does collide into the target, it can't see the player, and then it creates a movement vector towards the player. Otherwise, can't see you. And what it does, if it can see you, is it changes the state to attacking, and then it goes and does the attacking state of starting to move towards the player. The hearing and vision and such can be modified by the player itself by going into the player controller by choosing to sneak, which if they can sneak, it's a bull. If they are sneaking, their speed and volume are cut in half, but there's less chance of them being heard, so there's less chance of getting sighted. Otherwise, if they're not sneaking, they're going at normal speed. and it can be modified. The the AI utilize a polling station to store whatever's lists based on what state they're in, what the actual target is, the game manager, whether the player's been found and such, and then it broadcasts events based on. It can randomly broadcast events. You can choose to broadcast one by pressing O, or if the player founds, it broadcasts an attack enemy event. The different events are a stationary event where all stationary or idle AI become patrolling AI. So it goes from, you could have half patrolling, half stationary to now all of them are patrolling, which makes it harder for you. You can have a patrolling event where it changes all the patrolling AI to stationary now, to where it makes it sort of easier for you. You can have an all event where all your stationary and patrolling AI switch roles to where now stationary is patrolling and patrolling is stationary. You can have a random one to where it goes through each and every AI, and now a stationary can be either it might stay as stationary or it might become a patrolling. Same for patrolling. And then you have the attack enemy to where as soon as one AI finds the player, it'll basically radio all the other AI. Radio the polling station, which is the command center, then that'll radio it to all the other AI where the current position is, thus putting them all in attack mode and thus beginning to chase you till you escape. And how you escape is reaching the exit. So let's showcase this of here's our player moving. We have the polling station, which right now there's one stationary, one patrolling, 4 that have found me and attacking. If I activate a random event, now you see one of them became polling. Activate another random event, becomes random. I can go and look at my player, activate sneak, which changes its move speed and what volume it's going at to half. As you can see, they chase pretty consistently. Of once you found them, it's basically escape or die. When you reach escape, it's over, you're done, that's it. If there's anything else needed, please let me know. Thank you for watching. Bye.